Welcome to Footy Kickin Good. We are back again with our Geelong episode. Joining me as normal, series regular. First, you should all know this man by now, but he's still haunted by Tom Hawkins in the 2011 grand final, sorry. Michael Flynn.
I don't know, haunted. I've never rewatched that game,
You've
so I
never
couldn't even
rewatched
tell. I forgot that even happened.
Does that go the same for 2018 as well?
Oh, mate. We don't talk about that.
And joining us today, a big Geelong supporter, the man nicknamed the Panther. I'm told in his personal life, he is a high-powered lawyer who will be billing us $100 a minute to record this.
I can see the notes from Travis coming in very handy.
Yeah, introducing Wayne, everybody.
G'day, gents. Thanks for having me.
Nah, thanks for coming in, Wayne.
No problem.
Look, we're keen to hear about your Cats. Obviously, you've had an era of dominance, I feel like, watching the Cats. Never finished below 12th. Almost always in the finals. Always in the mix, really.
Yeah.
Big recruits always coming to the side. What's it like being a Cats supporter?
Oh, look, it's a nice period, I must admit. I think I was pretty blessed being born in 93, so I missed everything before and around that, or I was just too young to notice. And jumped in basically in the early 2000s and... was pretty happy with the choice overall, to be honest.
Yeah,
it's been a nice little run.
Well, how about we go through the ins and outs for the Geelong side? So in terms of ins, let's see. Jack Martin's an interesting one, delisted free agent.
Yeah.
Where do you think he might be playing? Or do you have any idea?
Look, it's an interesting one. I mean, he was always touted as a kind of the rising star when he first started at Gold Coast. He signed a really big deal, lots of raps on him. And even though he had a small frame, that they thought he might play midfield, never really got his body right, and then went down to Carlton and kind of was in that high half forward mould. So it's an interesting one. I would have thought originally probably there, but we've got a couple of numbers or jumpers running through there.
One of the strengths of Geelong is like those small forwards, basically. Even the forward line in general. I would love to see him play half back, to be honest.
Do you think the Cats just back themselves in to get the best out of guys? Because they're the best at it.
Yeah.
Do you think they look at a guy like Martin and they're like, oh, we're the ones to unlock the talent?
They are a little bit. I mean, Tyson Stengel's probably a great example of that. I think with Jack Martin, I feel like they're not going to be too concerned if his body breaks down in different periods. If they can get him at the right time of the season.
Yeah. To be honest, it was just a bonus. It wasn't... Bailey Smith, who we'll touch on later, was the big one. But I think Jack Martin was sort of lost a little bit. That trade, not even a trade. It was up as a delisted free agent, but he might be worth something. Yeah,
we'll get into Bailey Smith now. With the other ins, I mean, there's a lot of out there kind of names, but we saw last year what they did with Lawson Humphreys. There's always a couple of gems in here. We just don't know who they are yet.
No, not yet. Yeah, and there's a couple of names. I mean, we obviously traded out our first round pick for Bailey Smith, and we had to do a swap as well, so I think we moved a little bit later in the draft. So there's some unknown names, the Stephen Wells special, and he seems to have a knack of getting some players around the 40s, 50s and on. So
Sorry, are you happy that the Cats went that way, traded their first round pick for Bailey Smith?
Look, I think so. Yeah, I think so. I'm a big Bailey Smith fan. I know he's got a lot of criticism and there's a bit of unknown about him coming off an injury, but I've always been a big fan, and I think he feels a real area of weakness for us.
We spoke about this on another podcast, but I don't mind giving up draft picks to pick up young guns.
Yep.
It's I think we said it with Matty Rao. It's just what you're getting out of Bailey Smith. You don't necessarily know what you're getting out of what that pick would have been. So I think it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. No, really good. Yeah. Let's go through some of the outs. Mitch Hardy gets delisted. Tom Hawkins retired. I mean, that's a huge void.
That's a big hole.
I'll also go through, Brandon Parfitt, Gary Rowan, Zach Tui. All of a sudden, it's they're normally known for being the oldest side in the league, and it's sort of a lot of old heads coming out of the side now. Who do you think might be the biggest one there? Do you think they might feel, next year a little bit?
That's left?
Yeah.
Oh, I think it's hard to go past Hawkins, right?
I feel like a lot of people were calling for him to maybe hang up the boots, basically. But at the same time, even though he wasn't as prolific in front of goal, I guess, that forward target, rushing the packs.
Yeah.
Do you think someone's going to fill in that void, or do you think it's going to be more of an even outing for the forward line?
Well, I think. I mean, it's hard to feel. I mean, he's almost a generational superstar in my eyes, at least.
Yeah, I agree.
And you don't grow on trees, those types of.
Well, one of the things about Hawkins that I think is undersold is I think he's the greatest assisting big man of all time.
Yep.
If he didn't give away as many goals as he has, he would have finished with like 900, I reckon.
Yeah.
Like he the amount of like you know in soccer they talk a lot about this GA, the goals and assists. I think if we did more of that in football, in our footy, Hawkins would be like he'd be the man. Like he was like he would give him away. Like you remember that one with Jordan Clark where he was running in. I think that epitomises the tomahawk.
It's the Geelong mantra as well.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
100%.
It's no individuals higher than the
Stevie
group.
J. That was their whole thing back then.
And it's led to a lot of success for them.
Yeah. What about so you said it's a tough hole to fill. Do you think like a guy like Shannon Neal has the potential to come into that side and play some consistent footy?
Look, he's going to be the one, right? I think he's kind of been earmarked as the person to take the void as the second tall playing second fiddle to Cameron. I think, look, he's got some talent. He's a really athletic big as well. He's pretty quick. He's got some good hands. So I think he's got real potential. He came on last year. I don't think outside of the prelim, I think he kicked a goal every game, which was pretty significant. So I think he's got real potential. It's going to be interesting to see how he goes with the pressure of now being that second key forward. And as you know, as we said, Hawkins does a lot. He does a lot in terms of a presence, goal assisting, as you said, being in the ruck in the forward 50, and he plays that role that is very unique. So I'll be really interested to see how Neil goes, but I think he's probably the player to watch out for.
No, definitely. I don't know who else I think in that forward line, to be honest with you. I'm trying to think, like, they've got, like, Ollie Henry.
I like Henry as well.
Yeah.
They're very, just very even. And I think they're all capable of kicking, like, 30 to 40 a year, which is dangerous when you really think about it.
The best forward lines are the versatile ones these days, but, like, it's a mix of, like, everyone.
Even Cameron, he's someone who could be potentially winning a Coleman every year. And he plays a lot more up the ground now as well.
Yeah, he does.
He's just like, I feel like a guy like Cameron, you just tell him, like, do what you want to do. Like, you can't really coach a guy that plays like that.
No. You got to let him, exactly like you said, do what he wants.
Yeah.
Pretty sure I've seen him in like lining up in the centre bounce as well. Coming up for a couple of clearances.
He's just like, the fact that he is a physical presence, so you have to put a bigger player on him.
Yeah.
But then he can blow up any player like aerobically. Means that you put an undersized athlete on him and he'll destroy them one-on-one.
Yeah, 100%.
And then like there was a game last year, there's a couple of games I think where he played on blokes like I remember he played against maybe Adelaide, and they've got sort of big lumbering defenders, and like he just like ran rings around them. It's just he's just always a threat.
He's got incredible skills.
Another absolute coup by Geelong to be able to sway him to come over from the Giants. Let's move on to our first topic. So I think the biggest talking point is Bailey Smith, and you know what he's going to do for this side. I guess back in 2023 he averaged 23 disposals, played a little bit out of position. 2022 we averaged 29 disposals. So, you know, what kind of version are we going to get, do you think, of Bailey Smith, and where do you think he's going to be playing? Maybe throw it to Wayne first.
It's a good question. I think Geelong's really crying out for an inside midfielder. I mean, you know, our mids had probably been our biggest weakness, so it's nice that you've got someone that's probably entering their prime, albeit off an injury, that you can probably plug and play directly in the midfield. I know he's played probably high half forward at the Dogs, but I think really that's, as you said, in 22 he was averaging 29. He was still probably getting close to a goal as well. And I think we need someone at the coalface. So I think he'll be that inside midfielder, probably partnering up with Holmes and Danger waxing through there as well. So I think that's where he's going to be. And I'm really bullish on him. I think he's got a lot of potential.
His 2021 final series was like
incredible.
That was when he really like announced himself on the big stage. And then he followed that up with like, as you said, like he averaged 29 touches.
Yeah.
Then, before he did the ACL, being played out of position, definitely. He's not a forward, like he's not a wingman either. So that was just the issue that the Bulldogs list was a bit skewed to one particular type of player. But I think him and Holmes are going to be an elite duo. Yeah. They're going to be like Rosie Butters, Brayshaw, Sarong. Like I can see those two being like an absolute problem.
So you guys think he'll be high centre bounce attendances?
Oh,
yeah,
he'll be he'll be the most.
Number one.
So as
Guaranteed.
Well. Yeah,
Okay.
I think so as well.
Perfect. I think he'll excel wherever. I kind of, you'd almost think that he'd be good on a wing, but he just seems to get lost out there. He just needs to be around the ball, and I think that's what he wants. And I think probably that's what Geelong's promised him, kind of going forward.
Yeah.
So it'll be great to see. Moving on, Geelong, we've already talked about their era of dominance, never finished below 12th. Surprisingly, with their outs this year, they've gone to the 5th oldest list in the competition. And normally they're top 2. So all of a sudden it's sort of like, now they've gotten younger and they're still going to continue this dominance, do we think? Like, I honestly can't think of a reason or scenario where they do drop off completely.
Same.
I don't know if you can see anything, Wayne, in terms of that regard.
Yeah, it's a good comment, and it's always been the gag with Geelong, right?
Yeah.
The oldest list and the one that's kind of like somehow getting there. Oh, look, I think we'll always be aided by the fact we've got home games at GMHBA, which I think we're playing 10 again this year, and that's such a unique round. We don't generally play some of the stronger sides, so you're generally looking at about 7 out of 10, probably higher if you can. So at that point, you're probably winning 6 more to get to finals.
I found the way they've done the fixture this year, I feel like they've given a lot of teams that actually have beaten you down there games there.
The
so
Bulldogs.
Like Bulldogs, Giants, I think maybe Port as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Richmond. That'll be interesting.
nice percentage boost
Oh,
for Geelong.
I know.
I think you guys have them twice as well, which will be interesting. I mean, don't knock
Geelong
off.
has them twice.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Well, there's
I didn't
one.
see that.
There's one at GMHBA.
Okay.
That's going to be.
Yeah.
That's going to be a
I
massive.
think one of them, I could be wrong, I think one of them might be the last game of the season as well. So it's kind of like a perfect kind of lever. But let me quickly ask you, where do you boys think Geelong's finishing this year?
Top 4.
Top 4?
I think we've got a chance to be top 4 if things go right, but I wouldn't be surprised about the 5 or 6. I think midfield's still a real question for us. And,
well, you've done the right thing by addressing it.
Yeah.
And we know you guys have talked to Rao. I have inside sources that say you guys have also had a chat to Zach Butters as well.
I have heard this as well. There's a couple of murmurings about that.
Getting prep. So they're just...
Geelong are the Masters.
Yeah.
They just, man...
They're playing
everything
a different game to everyone else.
Chestnut checkers.
They're hidden down there in Geelong. They have their secrets. And
you know what? I have this conspiracy with Geelong that like it's like because they're one of the few teams where it's like the community is the club.
and
I feel like everyone there is sort of like a fan, and I feel like they all like protect. There's like
you see him at a nightclub, you want to say.
Yeah. That's what I'm getting at. Is like they protect their own.
Yeah.
Whereas if I saw Paddy Cripps like doing something, I'd be like straight like reporting him. I'd be like,
Getting the photo
I pray on this downfall. No, but yeah, the Geelong are like they're just they can do no wrong. Like seriously.
All right, moving on. Let's talk about Sam de Koning for a bit. Because I think he's an incredible prospect. Obviously, his brother is being touted by the Saints at the moment.
Yeah,
big numbers.
Firstly, there was some murmurs that he might be disgruntled. I think being left out of that final side last year and maybe wanted to trade. I feel like Geelong are pretty good at retaining these guys and making them feel loved. So I feel like there's a lot of effort in there. But I want to ask you guys, where do you think his best position is? Do you think he's a better defender or better in the ruck?
I'll throw it to the man that would know.
Look, I really liked him as a defender.
Yeah.
I think the ruck is a weird kind of area for us because we just don't really have anyone there that can take the mantle, and you kind of, our defence is pretty well settled, and we've got some really handy players that can play tall and small, and so you've almost got a luxury in having de Koning, so you kind of put him. He's 203 centimeters, so he's not small. So you can kind of put him in the midfield, and his brother does so well in the midfield, so I think he's kind of can be played there. But I really thought he broke out in that premiership.
Yeah, I think defence for sure. Is Reece Stanley still going around?
Apparently, apparently 34 or 35.
Man, Chris Scott loves Reece Stanley. All right,
he's surprised me. To be
He's
honest,
stealing money. I don't think
he's held up well.
There's he fits into a certain category of men, and we always talk about it. It's like these. If you're over 200 centimeters, you get so many chances. Like you can get a 15-year career.
That is true.
But he's just one of those blokes that is just still going around. Like it's hard to believe.
Yeah.
I love the Reece Stanley chatter during the year. It's always just like, how's this guy still going?
It's a good question to ask.
Look, for me, regarding Sam De Koning, I always look at it like, I always thought this with the Mackay brothers. I'm always like, they're both kind of the same guy, you know what I mean? They're twins.
Yeah. Why can't Ben Mackay play full forward?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm always like. If Harry does it so well,
Yeah.
Ben's the exact same build, should have similar attributes.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm just like,
Spot
if TDK is so good in the ruck,
Yeah.
chuck Sam in there.
I think that's the theory, right? It's gonna be
But like, you got to get him early. You got to start
I
him
think
early.
Tom is slightly more athletic.
He's
I
got
think
bigger as well.
He's bigger, but to me, he's just like, I could see Tom taking like a big specky.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I could see Sam doing
I feel like you haven't got like that freedom. Like in the forward line, you can kind of go
for it a little
kamikaze
bit.
and run off wherever.
Yeah.
You got to be a lot more disciplined in the back line.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you then, Wayne, with the ruck situation, who do you see rucking? Like this year kind of
these
thing.
are the
Like,
questions that keep me up, unfortunately.
is Conway a chance? to kind
Look, he's always been the one that's kind of earmarked in every season. You're like, but we'll get Conway next season. Next season comes around and Conway's nowhere to be found. I think he's still got another niggle, and I'm pretty sure he hasn't really been hitting training or he's been doing non-contact. There's a young fella called Mitch Edwards who looks pretty promising. He was drafted not this year but last year, from my understanding, and there's some real big raps on him, really athletic, seems really in favour with the coaches. So I think I wouldn't be surprised to see him get a game. I think we're probably, by all match reports, it looks like it might be De Koning with Stanley chopping in and out here and there, depending on... I don't think you're playing Stanley more than 15 games a season, or at least, I wouldn't want to be playing more than 10 really.
Yeah.
But I think De Koning's probably earmarked because there's probably no other options.
Can you imagine how bad it would be for the comp if Geelong actually got a good ruckman? Like, that's where we've been like, that's been their like weakness for so long, and they're still dominating. Like, if they were to just like, I've always been shocked that Geelong haven't been more interested in like we saw Port Adelaide last year, how they brought in like Jordan Sweet. I'm shocked that Geelong are not just like going after like second rucks stuck at different clubs. Like
you and I both.
Like the guy at Gold Coast,
Ned Moyle.
Yeah,
he looks handy.
He looks like a good ruckman. Like, why would you not be trying to bring him
He's signed
over?
a pretty lengthy contract though.
He's still going to be back up for years.
We have talked about it. Like, premiership sides don't need an elite ruck.
They don't.
Yeah,
it's a good question.
It's just someone to work hard, basically. Yeah. Those second stringers are the guys that work really hard because they are really thankful for that opportunity. I feel like.
Reece Stanley's a premiership ruckman.
Yeah, and that's one of my concerns with Freo is they have so much salary tied into ruckman.
A lot of money.
And when you're in the market where you've got these blokes like Cozzy Pickett and Chad Warner, it's like you've got so much money in Darcy. You got to. Yeah.
And imagine if they just like pulled in like another really good key forward and key back. Like, you're dangerous.
Pretty well settled.
Yeah.
Well, there was a lot of talk about Sean Darcy, whether or not he'd come back down.
Yeah, I honestly feel like he's still a chance, to be honest.
It's interesting because I feel like every time
he's dropped his value a lot.
Yeah, and I feel
because the thing is Geelong, like the thing is Freo wouldn't want to do it as like a cash dump, like a salary dump. And Geelong would be like, well, he never plays, so they'd be like lowballing Freo.
Yeah, but the Cats were very keen for a while.
And it could that was when he was playing.
I could possibly see in the off season something like, we want Chad Warner, we need to dump some money.
That's what I mean.
Why don't we give him to Geelong?
Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah, I mean,
it does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, be interesting to see.
Rucks as well there. So.
All right, how about we move on to the individual accolades? And Wayne, I'm going to ask you: do you think anyone at the Cats could win a Brownlow this year?
I'm a one-eyed Geelong supporter, and I'll be honest, I don't think so. I mean, Bailey Smith is a new recruit. Dangerfield, when he came in, I think he won the Brownlow the first year. It was at Geelong. So, I mean, there's a link there in some capacity, but I think we'd be...
Who do you think will poll more? Do you think Jeremy Cameron or Bailey Smith?
Bailey Smith.
I think...
The forwards never poll. I think Max Holmes might poll more than both of them.
Oh, actually, I forgot about him.
I think Max Holmes stands out to umpires.
Yeah.
probably similar to like a Chad Warner, like just a guy that runs and carries. I don't think he's going to win the Brownlow, but I think he could poll 25 votes.
Well, he's getting noticed now.
Yeah.
I mean, he won the best and fairest by a mile.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, he might get a bit more recognition.
It's crazy.
And we can't forget that Dangerfield did say that he thinks
The-
Holmes
the-
will
the
win a
Judd.
Brownlow one day.
The next making you a Judd, didn't he say? Or
Yeah.
something along those lines? No pressure.
That's a good one. We are moving on to the Coleman Medal. Jeremy Cameron a chance? I feel like
Of course.
I think
Yeah.
he's always up
Man,
there.
he's
Always a
always a
chance.
threat.
He's a freak.
Yeah.
I think he can do a lot of things that others
freak in
can't.
nature. Anyone else? Who do you think will be second, I guess?
I
Stengel.
reckon Stengel as well.
Stengel.
And don't count out Henry.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
popped up
yeah,
with
for sure.
40 odd goals, barely
That's
playing.
a good return.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he plays a hard role. So I think he
Yeah.
can. If he gets in the end a few, if he's taken the third best defender or fourth, I mean, it's a real chance of getting up there.
All Australians.
I got
Is it the usual suspects, or do you think there's anyone?
so outside of the usuals.
Yeah.
I'm going Graham Myers.
I love
Yeah.
Myers.
Has he actually made it?
No,
I think he made the squad.
he's made the squad.
He's made the 40.
2 years
Yeah.
ago.
There was a year that he only kicked like 10 goals, but he had like 3 million goal assists.
Goal assists, yeah.
So I think if he can, they don't like picking a guy just off goal assists.
Yeah.
I think if he can have a 30 goal season
Yeah.
with 20 assists,
Yeah.
he's in.
And I also think because he's becoming a bit more of a name, it's rare that someone has a breakout year is automatically an All-Australian. They kind of have to do it 2
Yeah,
years
you kind of
in
have
a
to
row,
like
3
pay
years.
your dues a little bit.
Exactly. So he might be a chance. I like Myers.
Yeah.
I think the only thing, like, I know his kicking is effective, but I feel like he loses like points because of how
Star
like
factor.
it's 100%, 100%. It just is hard to look at.
Yeah.
Look, I thought Sam DeConing could have a
Yeah.
really big year in the back line, where I think he's training at the moment. I think he could squeeze in, other than like your usual suspects with Tom Stewart, Jeremy Cameron, maybe Danger if he can get through the whole year.
Nah, I think Danger's best years are behind him.
I feel like sometimes like you just have to make that 40 squad initially, and then sometimes you just go for the veteran talent.
And also like if you how well you end the season as well. I think there's a bit of bias
If they're a
towards
good
the end.
side. I had them for the minor premiership, the Cats. So,
The Cats.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I thought
That's
they
a
were
big
finishing
call.
on top. I mean, what ended in a prelim last year, and then you've had a Bailey Smith. So
And not to mention that, like, those 10 games at GMHBA.
Yeah.
like,
It makes a
that's
difference.
That's a
Yeah.
big bonus.
Yeah.
all right, Wayne, we're going to play a game.
Okay.
It's called the Cats Who Would You Rather.
Okay.
So I got 10 players. I'm going to throw you 2 names, and you're
Yep.
going to tell me who would you rather. This is your criteria. So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
so you
It
just
could
have
be.
formula.
It could be just a guy that was like a childhood hero.
Yeah.
Okay.
He doesn't have to be Gary Ablett.
this guy gave me an autograph once.
Yeah,
so
there you go.
Yeah.
whatever you want. All right. First 2 names: Steve Johnson or Tom Stewart. I feel like because with the Cats,
that is a tough one.
I've
gonna be
never
some
heard
hard
anyone
ones.
call him Steve Johnson.
Yes. Yeah. Stop me for a second there.
I'm like, was that bald guy? Like, what was that guy's name? Johnson?
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, I love Stevie J. I just think his personality.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
does a bit of anything and almost won us a grand final basically. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'd
Stevie
probably
J?
still stick with Stevie J. I love Stewart
right.
though.
Stevie J or Paul Chapman?
Those are the twin towers.
This is what I thought you were referring to before. I was a bold bloke. Chappie's hard to go past, but I still there's something about Stevie J that gets me.
Okay. Stevie J or Tom Hawkins?
Hard to go past the big hawk, I reckon.
Big Hawker.
Big Hawk.
Tom Hawkins or Patrick Dangerfield?
Danger.
Danger.
Yeah. I love Hawkins. as well,
Flip-flopping.
but Yeah, I'm not sticking to the cause.
Patrick Dangerfield or Corey Enright?
Morris.
I think Boris. Yeah, I think Boris as well.
Is it
Boris?
These are tough.
I feel like
these
he's
are tough
just a
ones.
favourite son.
Yeah.
And he kind of came from obscurity. Pick 40s. Yeah, I'll go on Boris.
Boris. All right, Boris or Matthew Scarlett? That's the big question.
That's a huge
tough
one.
one. Hard to go past Scarlett, right?
Scarlett?
I think I'd have
Okay.
to settle on him.
Matthew Scarlett or Jimmy Bartell?
See, I'm just biased. Jimmy Bartell's my favourite player.
Oh,
So
yeah?
I'd
Okay.
have to go.
Oh, we'll
with
see
three.
about that.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, see, because there's two more names.
Okay.
Jimmy Bartell or Joel Selwood.
Yeah, I knew it was coming. That always had to be right. I mean, he's got a stand named after him and everything. But,
Come on, it's Joel.
It's your
I think I have to
choice.
go Joel as
Joel?
well.
There you
Sorry,
go.
Jimmy. If you watch this, apologies.
And the last one, Joel Selwood or Gary Ablett Jr.
I think he's a goat, so I've got to go the
goat.
Gaz. Yeah,
Goat.
I think
He's my goat as well, by the way.
I don't know. I feel like the Gold Coast years, like I would go Selwood.
Selwood over Gold
Oh,
Coast Gary
just in
Ablett.
terms of Geelong. You know what I mean?
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
Okay.
how I
But he
I
came back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't get that flag though.
Yeah.
Broke his
I think-
shoulder doing
I think Gary Ablett Jr.'s peak it is big higher than any other players to ever play the game.
Yeah.
I think when he was at his best, he was literally unstoppable.
Are you
think-
talking 2013 or 29?
I preferred him at Geelong. I reckon like 2007, 8 at Geelong.
Yeah,
He's
he
just
was
a freak.
unstoppable.
Yeah.
Even his 2010, I think he kicked 45 goals, averaging
Yeah.
30 odd or
Yeah.
something. It was
Yeah.
pretty insane.
So Gary Ablett Jr. is the winner.
I think he has to be.
Gary
I'll have to go
Ablett Jr.
fast.
the winner.
You should have started with him, really. I would have looked a bit
there's
more
no fun in
consistent.
All right, let's move on. Let's wrap it up. Let's talk about breakout or underrated stars. Who have you guys got? Anyone involved? I'll go first.
Yep.
Breakout.
I feel like you're going to go mine.
Yeah, possibly.
I'm worried someone's going mine.
Actually,
I've
no.
got to
We'll
switch
let Wayne go.
No,
first.
I'll go last. I'll go last.
You go last? All right.
after
So,
you.
I mean, I had two for breakout. I had Sam De Koning, who I already mentioned.
Okay.
I had him
And I
too.
think Connor O'Sullivan.
That was mine.
Okay. Yeah.
It's the same as Max Holmes, where like every time you ask a player about him, they
like-
just rave about him.
Yeah, it's a
how
good
good
sign,
he is,
isn't it?
future potential captain.
And like, would you read much into the fact that like, you know, he's a high draft pick and hasn't really played, or do you just think that like Geelong don't gift games to blokes? Like
That's it.
I think
they
it's
let
that.
him. You know,
I mean,
they
you
let
look
him
at Sam
settle.
De Koning, right? He kind of
Yeah.
came out of nowhere, but he played VFL for 2 or 3 years and then came on the scene and went pretty strong. So, I wouldn't read into it. Although Jai Clark, there's a couple of question marks about him. And
I've heard he's
probably-
going down back this year. That's what I
Yeah,
read.
which I'm a bit
yeah.
worried
Yeah.
about that. I don't know where that's kind of
I
come
think
from.
they're trying to find something for him.
That's an interesting one.
Be interesting. Wayne, do you want to go next?
I'm a big Lawson Humphreys fan.
Oh, yes.
Nice.
It's a bit of an cop out for me because he's kind of already broken out a little bit. But
But he can go to this.
He looks like
levels.
he's-
I think he's
Yeah.
primed.
Yeah.
Earmarked to take the kick out. It's pretty good on both feet. I think he can be
Steal
a real,
in the draft.
Yeah, well special.
Where, is he a WA boy?
Yeah, and I think he was. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he was part of like the West Coast Academy or
that's-
something for a bit.
That's just one more that West Coast let slip.
Let's
Tim Kelly.
Yeah, not complaining.
Flynn, you got anyone?
I think I just told you.
All right.
The I was going the same as you.
Yeah, no,
O'Sullivan. Yeah.
Anyone else underrated? I had for underrated Tanner Bruhn.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just think he gets better every year I see him.
Yeah.
And it looks like, and they have trust to put him in the guts. I just think that he's just more of a sleeper. He might not be the big number guy, but he might be that helping that mix of that midfield. A little bit like James
Geelong
Rowbottom
just need
is.
bodies to go through that
Yeah,
midfield.
I think so.
Like, I think he'd honestly on paper I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know what they're planning for Dangerfield, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a Bailey Smith, Tanner Bruhn, Max Holmes midfield trio.
First bounce.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised because it's sort of.
I think you're right.
I think Tanner's a bit more of the defensive sided mid, and the others are a bit more attacking. And I think that's a decent mix.
Yeah, it's a good call.
Well, that's good to let's wrap up our Geelong episode there. Big thank you for Wayne for coming
Yes,
down,
thank you,
Lovely,
Wayne.
gents.
gracing us with his presence. We'll cop the bill at some point, I think.
Yes,
Which
invoice.
is all good. Thank you guys for watching. We'll be back tomorrow with another episode.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.